All right, guys, I have got some good news for you, um, and that is that multiplayer replays are now loading. A lot of them are buggy and have errors, and they kind of mess up more than the single player ones, but they actually implemented it, and I will be able to record multiplayer replays and upload them soon. However, was working on Hermit Druid for someone who wanted to play a deck at side events, and I thought Hermit Druid's a pretty good deck to play. So I hadn't played Hermit Druid in a really long time, so I kind of had to rebuild it, and then I kind of tested it and tweaked it a little bit. And this is what I ended up with at the end of one day. I kind of just tweaked it as I went along. I played the deck 23 times today. I think 6 of them, maybe 7 of them were multiplayer games. Maybe more than that. 6 or 7 multiplayer games, and the rest were 1v1 games just because they were faster and easier to grind the list out with. But I did play multiplayer, and I won 23 times. So the deck has not lost yet, and I saw issues with it and fixed them as I went along. It could be slightly different at the end of the day, but this is what I had as for right now. I moved the 0 drops into 0 drops. Um, moved things like Postmortem Lunge to where it would, and Green Sun Zenith to where I actually cast them at. And this is what I ended up with at the end. However, the last game I played, the 23rd game, I played against this guy for the second time today playing Skullbriar, and it was the absolute closest match that I've had so far playing this deck. So I thought it was an excellent game. So I go ahead and show you my match here against my BFF Jill, who actually is someone who watches my channel. So if you're watching, excellent game to you. I had a lot of fun playing this game. It was by far the most fun I had playing this deck today. Um, though I did get the list to the guy, so hopefully he gets to play it. So if you're interested in a game of Hermit Druid, here we go. So my opening hand is interesting. It's got a Mox Diamond, a Jace Vryn's Prodigy, a Dak Faden, and a Lightning Greaves. It's not an excellent hand, and an Entomb. It's not an excellent hand, but it's not a horrible hand either, with the way I have the deck built. It's going to lose me cards on these looter effects since I have double looter effect, which isn't quite excellent. I do get to play the Jace right off the bat and start crafting, and if I find a land, I'll be able to craft all day and just find exactly the cards I need. So I go ahead and decide to keep this. I'm going to pitch the Cavern of Souls to the Mox Diamond since he's not playing blue, and I'm going to throw out the Overgrown Tomb, and we're going to play turn 1 JVP. I don't play JVP in a lot of my decks. This deck he is excellent in. Absolutely amazing card. So, my opponent plays a turn 1 Deathrite Shaman, which is one of the least happy things I could possibly see. I do not want to see Deathrite Shaman. I do not have many ways of removing this card in the deck. I don't really have any creature-based removal. And because I didn't have an answer for this or Leyland of the Void, I just added Chain of Vapor before this game. It hadn't been issued yet, but I just thought of it as I was uploading the list and editing it, and I decided I didn't really need the Cabal Therapy, especially if I'm not going to play the Dreadscape Zombie. So I just added Chain of Vapor, but seeing a turn 1 Deathrite Shaman is just about the worst thing I could possibly see with this hand. I've got double looter effects and an Entomb, and he plays a turn 1 Deathrite Shaman, and I've already dumped a land into my yard. So this is quite a pain in the ass. I go ahead and loot. I find myself a Dak Faden. I drop the Lightning Greaves, and I go ahead and throw out Dak Faden. And I'm going to start trying to find better cards. I ditch the Entomb and a Birds, and I have nothing but a Taiga and a Spellskite. And this JVP against this Deathrite Shaman Onslaught. He plays a Nature's Lore, and I'm thinking he'll play Skullbriar, which is what I thought he would just play, and then I'd be able to block with the Spellskite. However, he plays a Brain Maggot, and with this Brain Maggot, he strips the Spellskite from my hand, so I have no way to block his Skullbriar anymore, and quite a good trade for him there, as well as giving him just a way to attack my Planeswalkers now. So I go ahead and open with the Dak Faden, and I find a Worldly Tutor. Worldly Tutor will let me find a Hermit Druid and maybe try to combo through this Deathrite Shaman. So I go ahead and play my land, and I have nothing but a Worldly Tutor. And I pass with this JVP, because if he swings in with the Skullbriar or tries to kill the JVP, I can flip it in response. So he goes ahead and does Demonic Tutor, and he in fact has a go for the throat or he tutored a go for the throat. I'm not sure which it is, but he goes to kill JVP. JVP flips. He uses a Deathrite Shaman to kill the Bayou, which is kind of interesting, um, considering I'm still going to get to 5 after the JVP dump. So I go ahead and dump the Flusterstorm, obviously, because I need to use that Worldly Tutor. So he swings in. I Worldly Tutor. Let's go find Hermit Druid. So now I am hell-bent with Hermit Druid against a Deathrite Shaman. So I craft with Dak, just looking for a better card to flash back with JVP. Unfortunately, I do not find anything that is relevant to flashback, or at least I feel like flashing back at this point. So I just go ahead and play the Hermit Druid, and I tell his Brain Maggot that it's not going to be swinging for any damage next turn. I don't really see a reason as of right now to use the Worldly Tutor or the Entomb or anything like that. So in the back of my mind, Entomb for what's it called? Deep Analysis is a play, and it's one I'll probably end up using, but I don't need to use it quite yet. He gets Eternal Witness, and he's able to get his Go for the Throat back, which is absolutely disgusting. So he goes ahead and goes for the throat to the Hermit Druid down. However, he does not have mana to tap Deathrite Shaman currently. Oops. Now, I could have got Apprentice Necromancer right there with that Gitaxian Probe off the Worldly Tutor, but I can't use it right away, which is a problem because he'll have his Deathrite Shaman up all of a sudden. So I probe first, find a Badlands, not good enough. Dak Faden needs to craft. Actually, no, now I remember. Now I'm going to go get the Deep Analysis first. I want to use the Deep Analysis and then craft, because my hand size at 1 is just not good enough. We find a Shallow Grave, which is actually excellent here. So we're going to use the Dak Faden. I find an Ancient Grudge, so I can pitch that, and I'm going to pitch one of the lands. And I'll keep the Mental Misstep just in case he has even more Graveyard Hate or something like that. We're going to go ahead and play the Misty Rainforest. So at this point, I fully expect him to kill my JVP. So with that in mind, I can now use the Shallow Grave to get back JVP after he kills it. I don't want to try to Shallow Grave the Hermit Druid because he's just going to remove it, right? And I don't want to get back a Sylvan Safekeeper or a Birds of Paradise. So sure enough, he goes ahead and kills the JVP with the Witness, which plays right into my hands because I fully intend on rezzing it with the Shallow Grave. And here's the kicker. He can't use his Deathrite Shaman. He goes ahead and plays the Soul Ring. I consider mental misstepping it, but at this point he has like no cards. He has plenty of mana, and if he draws something like a Relic of Progenitus or a Nihil Spellbomb, or has one in his hand and he's sandbagging it, that's just going to be an absolute problem for me. So I know he has a Bitter Blossom. He plays the Bitter Blossom. I'm going to use the Shallow Grave to try to bring back JVP, and this is going to put him in an awkward position because if he exiles the JVP, I get Hermit Druid back and I can just kill him, and his Deathrite Shaman can't do anything about it. But if he exiles the Hermit Druid, that's okay because I'm just getting JVP and I kind of expect it anyway. So he goes ahead and... So I'm almost kind of surprised he doesn't just save Deathrite Shaman here. But he goes ahead and exiles the Hermit Druid right now. I almost want to say he maybe could have saved that, but I'm going to go ahead and haste JVP, turn him into a Planeswalker, so that he doesn't die to the Exile Clause of Shallow Grave. I draw a Chain of Vapor, which is excellent, because I can finally get rid of this goddamn Deathrite Shaman. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see what I get off Dak Faden. Imperial Seal, excellent. There's nothing I can do as far as Dark Ritual plus Imperial Seal as far as this kind of line goes, because I have no other way to draw. I don't have an end-to-hand tutor in my yard to flash back with the JVP like a Demonic Tutor or anything like that. And I need to be able to get to pull from Eternity. So I start to craft a plan. The first thing is I need to get rid of Deathrite Shaman because it's just too much of a problem. And I decide none of the lines of play I have are going to get me there from as far as what I can see. So what I need to do is simply use JVP on the probe. I need to get Time Twister into my hand and get a new hand, and I need to get Deathrite Shaman out of the board. But then I realize I've got this disgusting built-up graveyard anyway, and I don't want him to. I'd love to make sure he doesn't draw that Deathrite Shaman again. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go ahead and get my Wheel of Fortune. My graveyard's already pretty stocked. The JVP already has some decent targets, and it's going to force him to kill it again. While this takes Shallow Grave out of my pool, that's perfectly fine because I don't want to shuffle all this in because I need to find Pull from Eternity. And even though I've got a Imperial Seal in here, I have a lot of good cards still in my deck, and I really don't want to draw these cards that I have in my graveyard currently. A bunch of them are just really, really bad right now. So I'm going to go ahead and get Wheel instead with my Gitaxian Probe, and we're just going to wheel out. I have not played land for turn. And look at this. I hit the land with a Silence. I'm actually not currently playing Orum's Chant. If this was a pure 1v1 build, I probably would play the Orum's Chant. The Silence is much better for multiplayer. So now I have a land, and no matter what he got, I'm going to be able to silence his hand away. So I go ahead and cast Silence on his upkeep. I don't want him to be able to use any of those 7 cards he just drew, and I'm going to keep that tempo completely. That was probably the best draw of the game, was that Silence so far. So he goes ahead and swings in. He takes the JVP back out, sends the Skullbriar at my face, and wheedles down that Dak Faden so that I can't get his ult off, though I don't think that's incredibly relevant as far as what I'm going to attempt to do. So, my turn. First thing I'm going to do is reach with Dak Faden and get Laboratory Maniac into the yard, because we can't win with him in the hand. And I don't want to get Pull from Eternity yet, because there's a chance I could draw it. And lo and behold, I get the Pull from Eternity. Unfortunately, Apprentice Necromancer's ability requires a tap, so I cannot use it right away. And I do not have another copy of Silence in my deck to Time Walk him again. So what I'm going to do is, because I drew this Frantic Search, I'm going to be able to put the Memory's Journey into my graveyard to make it cost 1 less. And I'll have just enough mana to retutor the Silence with Grim Tutor. And I get a Thoughtseize and a land, so I decide to dump the land and the Memory's Journey, obviously. So I'm going to Memory's Journey the Silence back into my deck, as well as the other best cards that I can draw from this position. I actually considered, before I even never mind, it's irrelevant. I considered doing something else, but once I saw I had enough mana with the Memory's Journey post-Frantic Search, I realized I just need to Time Walk him again, especially since in chat he says something to the effect of, that was a really lucky draw in the Silence, so I know he's got something discussing in his hand, whether it's Graveyard Hate or a way to finish me. I have to Time Walk him again, and I have just enough mana to get the Apprentice Necromancer in play, and then silence him on his turn. Now, here's his one window. He really needs a removal spell, and I'm almost positive he doesn't have one, because if he had a removal spell, he would simply respond to the Silence by killing an instant speed removal spell, that is, by killing the Apprentice Necromancer. So I get this read that he just does not have a removal spell, and he dredges, which means he doesn't have any chance of drawing an instant speed removal spell. However, just in case he's doing something tricky, I'm going to, of course, Thoughtseize him first. So I draw just to see if I can get any form of control. I whiff, though I'm pretty sure he doesn't have it, otherwise he would have killed that Necromancer on his turn for sure. But if he does happen to have it now, he can't really do too much. Because if I Thoughtseize and he has the one, and in response he tries to kill the Necromancer, in response I can pull from Eternity and bring back the Druid. He has a Relic of the Progenitus. He has a removal spell, but it's not instant speed, and he's got a Duress and a Regrowth, so he could pick his other spells back up. So he has nothing that can interact with me. I get to pull the Hermit Druid out from exile, and then bring him back with haste and kill him. Of the 23 games I played today, this was by far the closest match I think I had. There was another match where Hermit Druid got exiled to a Swords to Plowshares, But I had a really early Dark Confident, and it was a 1v1, and I literally was just able to play like a control deck and just hate the guy out. I had some really interesting multiplayer games as well. One game where I actually got the Azami out with like two other wizards and was able to use Azami for quite a long time before I was able to set my combo up just because there was a lot of weird interactions. Someone had a Marath on the board, so I eventually got a Spellskite on the field to get around that. Someone else had something weird that could like there was just so many weird cards that I had to play around. There's like 4 or 5, and the Azami eventually got there. But this was by far my favorite game of the day with Hermit Druid. And if you like Hermit Druid, I feel like this list is pretty good. Um, as far as using the other kill condition and Buried Alive and all that stuff, um, on MTGO, there's no way in shit I'm going to do that when Angel of Glory's Rise wins in like 2 seconds. Look at my timer here. If I was using any kind of loop combo, there's no fucking way it's going to work. But other than that, I actually kind of like the Labman combo. You could potentially run Doomsday if you wanted to, though I really don't think. I think the shell is kind of too tight, and I think trying to play Gush in the shell isn't as good, and trying to make triple black in the shell isn't quite as good. But you could try to do that if you really wanted to. There's definitely enough looter effects and other draw effects to make that work. But as for me, this is how I'm currently playing the deck, and I haven't lost a game with it today. So I'll show you the deck list here one more time. But the main happiness of the day is that in the future I'm going to be able to upload multiplayer game replays. So look forward to that. I'm going to be able to. I don't know. I haven't went back and checked to see if the old replays now all of a sudden work. I doubt that's the case, but I can go back and check and see if some of these awesome games that I've missed out on work. And if that does pan out, I will definitely be uploading some awesome games that I missed out on. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode today. Moxnick signing out.